Hello and welcome to another online open studio from the Zeitz MOCAA. The Center of Arts Education specializes in doing creative activities based on artists' work. How many of us have given a gift that we would have liked to have received ourselves? I'm sure that's true for you because I've done it. It's the best gift. You found something that you really love, you wrap it up specially in a nice box or package, you decorate it, you write a nice card, and then you give it to the friend. And it's fantastic. It's the best gift that they'll receive. Today, we're going to make a gift for ourselves. The artist that we are using to inspire us today is Jody Paulsen. And he is a fantastic artist who we have in our collection. This young artist is one of our most exciting and, dare I say it, happiest young artists that we have in our collection at Zeitz MOCAA. He was exhibiting here from our opening in 2017. Just after he had graduated at UCT, he got his master's in 2013, the University of Cape Town, where he graduated. And what we found with Jody is that whenever visitors come to see his work, they always smile. There's a sort of a lightness about the work. Apart from the extraordinary bright colors, the bold words, and the dramatic compositions, he's an artist who dreams. And today's open studio, we really want you to dream and share your dreams with us in a composition based on his artwork. So the work of Jody Paulsen is usually large scale and multicolored in primaries and secondary colors. And one of the secrets is that it's not made out of paper or paint, it's made out of felt. It's the same as these cloth books that we used to have as children, some of us, simple compositions with stitching and primary colors that really stood out and taught us how to see, really. And when we work with Jody Paulsen, we do actually work with cloth as well, and cut out and stick and glue and stitch cloth. But today what we're going to do is we're going to find shortcuts in ways to work with paper to achieve the same result. Here's a beautiful composition made by Mandisa Ngulana, who is in the Center for Arts of Education as well. She's filming today, and it carries so many of the aspects of Jody Paulsen. It's the symmetrical composition, organic shapes, the soft outlines. There are no straight hard lines, and it's the contrasting colors, the orange and purple, the yellow and blue, and the sort of pop iconography. Here we've got hot dog and chips. Isn't that fantastic? So the material overview for this project, these are the things you're going to need. You're going to need a shoebox or a small box of any kind, not really smaller than that, but you can use a cell phone box if you work really small. The really important thing you're going to need is colored paper. So you can get these at your stationery shops, but if you don't have colored paper or sugar paper, and it's important if you're going to make a Jody Paulsen to use bright colors, then you can look in magazines and get the colors from magazine paper. And you can also look in newspaper, because sometimes you'll get colored photographs that you can cut the paper out, but you're also going to be looking for words as well. So go and find some papers, some magazines, some pamphlets, things you can use to cut out of, but you're really looking for paper. Another kind of paper that I'd like to encourage you to use is old wrapping paper or new wrapping paper. Just wrapping paper that's got some funky design on it. And what I've found, especially with this box, I found an old present that I'd been given, and I put the wrapping paper onto my box on the outside. So I recycled the old wrapping paper. And to put it on, you're going to need different types of glue. I have used Prit, but you should use a stronger project glue or craft glue, like a wood glue. If you don't have anything else, a wood glue also works, and a clear glue can also do the trick. But you're going to have to work quite carefully because this gets really sticky.
but you want it really to stick, the patterns to stick down really nicely because you want this box to last. You're obviously going to need some scissors to cut out the shapes. You're going to need a pen to draw the shapes. And then you're going to need the paper that you're going to stick the shapes onto. Right at the very end, the really finishing touch, if you can look at this box, you'll see it's got sort of shiny finish. That's a substance, it's an acrylic varnish called Podge, and it's something that is a real secret for paper mache and craft enthusiasts. It gives it a long-lasting seal on the top of your design. If you don't have that, you can also use clear tape or clear masking tape, or even contact adhesive like when you cover a school book. They say to achieve something, you have to manifest it through dreaming about it and making it real. You have to visualize it. And Jody Paulsen really flies in the face of the stereotype suffering artist. He made his dreams come true. He put his dreams up in large-scale, colored, felt imagery, these tapestries, he calls them posters. And they're just bold and they declare what he wants from life, his ambition. And so for you to do this project, I want you to go into a process that Jody himself follows. He keeps a daily diary, and when he's making an artwork, he flips back through that diary, a visual journal, and sees the images that he has recorded that have inspired him. I want you, before you do this project, to go to a happy place. I want you to close your eyes and think about the place you'd like to be, the beach, the sunny mountainside, in the country, back home, and feel it. Think what colors are associated with it. Write down the words of those colors: gold, sunshine, happy, grass, smells. Those are the things that you're going to use to inspire yourself for this project. So you're looking for inspiring words and colors and places and symbols, things that make you happy. And you're going to look for them in magazines. You're going to look for pictures that trigger your inspiration. Nature pictures, fancy jewelry, just go large. Something that really inspires you and makes you happy without being heavy. So you're going to be looking for objects and images that are bold from the magazine, but don't get lost in the magazine. And if you find words while you're in there, like all stars or beach, designer vision, these are the words that you must cut out and just keep them in a pile or put them in the shoebox that you've got ready for your work. And you're looking for words that inspire you. Wow, some awe-inspiring pieces. And what you can't see in those pictures, how big they are. In the Silo Hotel, you can see there's about 6 meters of these felt posters standing high. Jody is living his dream. He gets calls from fashion designers to come and work on a photo shoot. He gets to design magazine covers without at all compromising his artistic vision. Now, having a look at his material, there's a very big secret and something that you'll only learn by making a work. And it makes you think, wow, that looks so easy. But each work takes him months and months of painstaking cutting out of the felt and applying them. And when you look at his pieces, he seems to work with very organic shapes. There are no straight lines. It's all wavy, strong outlines, bold pop shapes, very clear and repetitive and layered. So when you make your cutouts, as I'm going to show you now, we're going to be making shapes. Do very simple shapes. Just let yourself go and think of shapes that make you happy. Even a heart shape. Perfect. Make that one. So now we're going to cut out the shapes. As I told you, I'm using my shoebox to keep my treasure trove, my jewels of shapes that I've cut out already that I'm going to use. This is my color palette. And these are the shapes that I've made. And as you can see, they all repeat and they overlay and they shadow each other very nicely, and they're bold primary colors. I'd like to show you how to do that. So I'll take a few of my colors. Jody uses a lot of fluorescence, And I don't know how that'll look on camera, but you put a pile of papers together and then you draw your shape over it. And so what you want to do is you want to get several of the same shape and use as much of the paper as possible so that you don't waste it. And now cut out the paper. And one of the secrets I use when I'm cutting out is I don't cut straight to the lines. First cut out the whole shape and then go to the detail. And once you've cut out the detail, you can actually get quite strict lines, and then you've got your echoes of hearts all on top of each other. So this is the other fun part, because I find this whole process very exciting and energizing, playing with color and shape and pattern. But to get it right is quite difficult. So it's really good to have quite a few pieces and shapes on hand so that you can play. And before you decide to fix your design, just let the image make itself happen. So choose some images and see how they work together. See what they look like on different colored paper. You might want to put another piece of color behind it. So it's how you arrange the shapes, and this is what Jody's so good at doing, is arranging the shapes and layering them one on top of the other. And like I said in the beginning, it's multiples that really make the design sing. So we're going to start again, and let's look at some multiples of hands that I've got. Cut out all sorts of shapes of hands, and let's put them in the middle like a big firework explosion that's nice and happy. And it's so nice to not get your hands dirty while you're making this, and yet you've got lots of color. Okay, and then you just surprise yourself by playing with different shapes and colors until you're happy with what you've made. And you really do need to have several of each design. See if I've got another one of those wigglies. Oh, I've got a brown wiggly, but that gives it a bit of an electric feel, hey? And then let's see if there's some space for 2 green wiggly sour worms at the top. And you have a look at that and say, how does that work for you? And obviously, this can keep changing, and you can take a photo of it with your cell phone and have a look at it to see until you're ready to go and stick it down. And obviously, for today's demonstration, I'm making a large-scale poster just like Mandisa's one here. And as you can see, she's layered hands and shapes cut out. And this was certainly not planned from the beginning. It emerged as the process happened. And so once you've decided on your composition, and this is larger than you'll need for your shoebox, this is just an example. What I do is I actually just put a little glue behind to hold my pieces in place without messing up the composition. Make sure the wind doesn't blow them all over the place, because you've probably spent weeks making it just like Jody, and you don't want all that work ruined. And just put a little bit of glue on it, because you don't need to stick the whole thing down if you're going to varnish it. And obviously you can spend a bit more time placing it and setting it until all your bits are nicely stuck on, just to hold them in place. You can even use clear sellotape over them. But what I want now is just to hold it all in place so that I can add my pictures and words from magazines if I want to. This may be all you want to do, and that's quite fine. A poster. So it holds together, and now once you're ready to cover your box, you can varnish it. So this is where the artwork really starts to come into its own. And you'll have your inspirational words, which you can write by hand if you want. You can draw your own images. You can make a self-portrait if you want to put that on the box. But this is where you choose the images and the words that inspire you, that will now fit onto the collage. So take your phrases or your words, and as you can see, this box here, my box is Close Encounters. I love nature and I love baby animals. Who doesn't? And so this box makes me happy. And I've chosen those words and those images. My son Thomas made his own cool box from one of his old coloring in drawing books, which so often they just get thrown away. He's cut out his Mexican skull. He's put chilled out there. He sprayed the box as well with spray paint, and he added some of our shapes. That's his cool box for his collections. We get to a very difficult part where you may need another adult to help you, because it's a part I'm not even very good at, and it's covering the box, because you need a base to cover your box, to put your image on top of, so that you've got your artwork covering a box. So you need to find, like I suggested, some wrapping paper or some newspaper, and we're going to measure it out just as if you are wrapping a present. You can also wrap the entire box, but I like to make the lid separate to the box. Okay, let's cover the box. I'm going to start with the sides of the bottom, and I've chosen the star wrapping paper. Running away with me. So I'm going to see how much of it I need. I'll need 1, 2, 3, 4 sections about up to there. Now, what I'd like to do is just measure how much of it I need, because I'm just going to cut it on the sides. Here, take checking that we've got enough for the sides. That should cover it nicely. I'm going to use some project glue. Some craft glue and an old credit card. And let's tape it. Cool. So we've got a nice starry side of the box. Let's work on the lid. I'm going to lay down a funky polka dot silver lid. And you cut, like covering a book for school, you cut a triangle off the edge. Up to the side that you need. I'm going to just cut this a bit closer here. only practice makes perfect, but there's your base. Feels like Christmas. Let's take our box and decorate it. So what I'm thinking, I want a nice vibey box. I'm going with the stars, so I'm going to add some stars on the side. I'm going to take my glue stick, and because I'm going to add varnish over it, I don't need to stick the whole image down. Just going to hold it in its place for now. So we get our stars on the side. I'm loving this sort of brown and red and blue color scheme, very cool. Obviously I've made very big images here, so if you make smaller stars or smaller hearts, you can cover your box like that. That's going to be the bottom bit, and the top bit, I'm now going to choose my images and my words, and then I'm going to start laying them out in a composition. So I've got some of my pre-cut out stars, and I can arrange them around as I do my pattern. And like I said, just play, just see what rocks your boat and see what color schemes make you feel happy. So I think what I'm going to do is stay with this purple and blue scheme, but I also like what happens when I put a star, a green star over a blue star. And if I've got some wrapping paper as well, I'm going to add a few vibey lines, I think, underneath as well. So let me get that in half and put some music lines. A little shout out to the Western Cape here. Youngster, one of our hottest artists. Cue the west side. Okay, so I've planned my layout. I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue on the, glue on the top so that it stays in its right place. The nice thing about Podge is it completely forgives you for any mistakes you've made. I'll lay these down. Always have to have some paper underneath if you want your print not to go over everything. So now we're going to bring it all together with some varnish. See you now. Now we want to have that professional finish, just like the Jody Paulsen in its beautiful big frame with its glass over it. It's going to look good if you cover it and seal it. Now, you can use contact adhesive like you use for school books, covering school books. You can use clear tape. But what I really like to do is use craft varnish, which you can get at art shops and at hardware stores, which is affectionately known as Mod Podge. And you paint it on, and it's a clear, thin version of like a wood glue. And once you've painted it on and it's dried overnight, it gives you that really good finish. So this is what I'm using, some Podge. And I'm just going to do the sides over here first. Just get that clear stuff. It looks like you're ruining it, but actually it dries overnight really clean and brings all the little imperfections together. And if you read the instructions carefully, you say you don't just put one, you put one layer on, and another layer, and it's water-based, so it's not going to harm your hands any more than sanitizer. But once you've done one layer, They say do another layer in the opposite direction, but I would let it dry a little bit first. So don't need too much because you've already glued them down. And I'm going to varnish this side, and it just air dries by itself. Obviously, if you've used ink or drawing materials, it can run, but because we're using printed materials and colored paper, it's not going to run. So we're going to leave that to dry. And if you're brave, you can get on with the lid as well. Just slop it on. So while we wait for this to dry, I'm going to ask you to think of sharing your images with us, the boxes that you made. It would be fantastic feedback for us to see what you've been making during your time with the Open Studios. Okay, now you can wash your brush, leave your box to dry outside of the dust, outside of the insects. Just leave it to dry. It takes 3 or 4 hours. I leave mine overnight. And in the morning, you'll discover a beautiful present. It's like Christmas in your house, just for you. And we'd love to see the beautiful artistic Jody Paulsen boxes, your gift boxes to yourselves. Please share them to our social media, our Instagram or our Facebook page. Or you can email us at education@zeitzmoca.museum. And we look forward to seeing you at our next Open Studio.